Hi everyone, I'm Josh.
And I'm Brig with PDQ.com, and we're here to discuss Office 365. And you're back from vacation, back from school, just generally want to learn how to deploy Office 365? We're here to help.
Let's get to it, shall we?
All right, shall we? All right. Okay, all right. Office 365. We had a question in the pre-show of what Office 365 was, which we kind of answered, which is just, basically it's just click to run Office. So we're just going to go through the steps of doing this. We have a KB out there, and we also have another video that sort of covers this a little bit, but we're going to walk through the whole
There's
steps.
been some changes since that KB was written.
Yes.
So we'll get that updated. We'll put a note on it at least.
Yep. And it's really just an attribute that's been changed. Yep. So, and let's just begin.
Sure.
All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a share. And I'm just going to do this on the C drive. I've already created a folder, or a directory, as we call them. It's just very simple, and I'm just going to share that out.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
And why are we sharing this?
Why am I not able to share this? Josh, help me out, man.
Go to properties. Is it already shared?
It's not there. Look at that.
Oh, it's not there. Let's just create a new folder.
Okay.
Let's call this one Office 365 2.
Okay. Oh, 3652.
Yep, close enough.
3,652.
We're still not able to share this out. This is curious.
That's very curious.
Let's not do it on there. Let's do it on the desktop.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, and we do it live.
Yep. And testing it works.
Well, of course.
And then it's production.
Yep.
There we go.
There's our sharing.
All right. So we're going to share that out. Permissions, very basic. All you need to do is just make sure everyone, full control.
Yep.
Again, these are not NTFS permissions. They're just share level permissions.
Yes.
That's all we care about. All right. Now close that out.
So now we have a shared directory.
Now we have a shared drive.
Took a second. We got there.
All right. So the second thing that we want to do, so create a shared drive. That's the first step. We're done with that. The second thing that we want to do is actually download the Office deployment tool. And all of this is in the bonus content. In fact, there's a lot of bonus content that we're going to cover, but this link hasn't changed in forever. So we're just going to go with that. We're going to download that.
And this is going to give us an executable. This is not the one we're going to use
to
actually install, correct?
No. You have to extract this out. Yep.
Exactly.
All right. So once we're done with that, it's very small. We're just going to go to our downloads. It's right here. Double click that. We're going to read this thoroughly and then accept it.
Okay. It's red.
Yes. And then let's see. I'm already on my desktop.
Yep. We're going to extract this to the shared directory we just created, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And there we go. So now there's the directory. Now I've got a setup and a configuration.xml file. So this is just your basic stuff. Super simple, very easy. There's nothing very large about this right now. The next step that we want to do, there's just kind of as a preview, there's two things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be downloading the source, and then we're also going to be installing Office. So we've got two things. Yes, Jake.
Of note, this is a setup.exe file,
Uh-huh.
which is the same name as the one we're going to end up downloading. But what happens if you deploy this one with that config.xml?
Absolutely nothing. An error.
Yeah, you'll get an error.
No error.
No error?
It reports success.
Oh, no, if you just deploy the setup.exe without the configuration XML?
Well, even with it.
Well, the configuration XML should be already supplied. So, I mean, it contains parameters. You'll get an error because it doesn't. Well, no, it'll install. Oh, you're right.
It just runs and reports success.
Because we don't have that. We didn't download the source.
Ding.
Yes, Jake is correct. We didn't download the source. Yeah, so you'll just get nothing, and you'll not get an error or anything else. So, all right. What we're going to do now? Just going to copy.
So we're going to copy this configuration.xml, right?
Yeah, we're going to do it twice.
Okay.
Yep. Then we're just going to change the name. And this is just so that we have kind of like a usable copy that we can do.
Okay. And this is so that we have something to reference, if we make a mistake here. And we're also making these so we have an XML to download, and then we also have an XML that we're actually going to use to do the installation.
And it's good to know that I can type as well as
Lex is with us even today.
All right.
His spirit is always here.
Yes.
His spirits.
He's infected this keyboard.
It's become a Lex keyboard.
It has been. It's one of those soft key things like made for children. All right.
You hear a move.
All right, okay, that's enough. Back to the task ahead. All right, here we go. So we've got the download. This is the first one that we're going to edit. So we're just going to open this in Notepad++.
Okay.
All right. Oh,
Comments. Who
done.
needs comments?
Comments. Reading, that's for other people. All right, so this is the configuration file that comes comes prepackaged. We're just going to change this. Now the channel on this is a little different. So it used to be branch, and it'd be like currents and everything like that.
This is what was in our KB. This is what's currently in our KB.
Yep.
So this is the difference that we're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
so they've actually changed the channel, and we're going to actually go into that in more detail when we do the install. We're just going to, for right now, we're just going to change this from monthly to broad. Shouldn't make a big difference here because we're only downloading source. It'll come much later. We
Hence
can
the
handle this.
download.xml.
We also do not need Visio Retail.
Okay.
And you'll see that the product ID here is Office 365 Pro Plus Retail. There's two Office 365 products. There's Pro Plus Retail, and then there's Business something.
I don't remember. Choose the one that's right for your subscription.
Yeah, and there's also the available options. Again, it's in the bonus content, so you can actually pull that up and see like what version what version applies to you. There's Business in this one. Most often, this will be the plan.
Yeah, this is the default for an E3 license.
Yep. And we're not going to worry about any of the commented updates or the display, anything like that, because we're only downloading source. So then we just save that right there. And then we're going to download the source.
Okay.
So
to download the source, we're going to use the setup.exe that we extracted, and then we're going to give it a parameter of almost like an answer file of this XML to say, hey, use this and go out and download our source files so we can actually install them.
Yep. Now I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. There is a better way of doing this, but I'm sort of old-fashioned myself.
So we're going to navigate to the directory that contains that setup.exe and that download.xml.
Oh, remind me these paths again.
C
your Windows.
users, username.
It's too bad we don't have
Tab
history.
completion. I love
Yeah,
that.
tab is great.
Desktop.
Desktop. And
Yeah,
then-
look at
hey,
that.
Oh, 365.
Yeah. Yay!
Go the whole hog.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, not 0.
That was O. That's all right. I just type it out.
Nope, that's not the one. Maybe it's a different one. We can always find the path here. Why don't we just do this? Boop.
See, it doesn't do that.
do
It
that.
doesn't like that. There's something fishy about this machine, Jake. I blame you.
Oh, it's Quintana.web desktop.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's 2 profiles called
all right.
Quintana, one for each domain.
Ah.
Yep. There's our autocomplete.
Okay. Yay. All right. So now, hey.
Hey,
all right.
that's
there we
us.
go. So we're just going to run setup.exe. Now you can also do this like as a network share or anything like that.
Yeah. You can even put this on a DFS share if you wanted to use pull.
Yes.
Instead of pushing all these big Office installation files, put it on a DFS share and use a pull config method.
Or a pull copy mode. Yeah.
Or yeah.
All right, and then we're going to do our 365 download.xml that we just created.
Yep.
Did I spell that right?
I think so. Looks like
did.
it.
All right. So now this is 2.12 gigabytes, so it's going to take a while. And it'll just sit here, and then when you get a command prompt again, that means that it's done.
Yep.
So,
And you'll have your source files.
yep. So
In the same
meantime-
directory.
Yeah, in the meantime, while that's doing that, what we're going to go ahead and do is edit that second, the install XML file.
So yeah, we're going to let the background task of the download, and then let's set up the install XML.
Yep.
That's what we're doing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is the install XML, remove all the comments.
Hey, this is almost exactly the same as our download, right?
It's the exact same. All right. And then, but the difference is that we do want to remove these comments because this is where it matters.
Okay. Because before we're just downloading source, we don't care about updates because it's a download. But when we actually push this out, we want to push the update
Yep.
information.
Yep. There, we'll just make that pretty.
Okay.
It all lines up.
So a couple things to note
Spaces,
here is the update channel,
Yep.
the display level,
Yep.
and then the auto activate. What's special about that auto activate attribute?
The auto activate you probably always want to set to 0 because it's not actually going to activate. Your users are actually going to have to log in. They'll get a screen when they first open Word or Excel or whatever. And they'll get a screen that says like, "Hey, put in your Microsoft ID or your account," and you put that in, and then it'll just automatically activate that way. So there is no such thing as really an auto activate. at least not in the traditional sense. Now,
They had auto activate available in 2013
yeah.
version, and I seem to recall that in 2016 it was never officially deprecated, but they still kept the auto activate out there, and so 16 as well as Office 365, I haven't seen it work, but it did work in 13.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool.
Nice.
So it works for one version of Office
And 2010.
in 2010? All right.
I wonder what will happen with 2019.
Yeah. I don't know. What's is quick?
2019 is just going to deploy LibreOffice.
That's it.
Lotus Notes for Business.
All right. And there's one thing that I kind of want to point out here, too. There's actually two things that I want to cover. The first is this XML file. And Jake brought this up, and we've used this before, but there is a configuration XML editor that's put out by the Office dev team on Git that you can actually just navigate to, again, in the bonus content. And this will create the XML file for you. So rather than having to like copy and then edit that, my preferred method, you can actually generate that here.
Yes.
There are certain fields that you won't be able to generate, but this will give you an idea. So you just choose your product. So in this case, it's the Pro Plus. And again, you only have the 2 Office 365 products that you can choose from. There used to be a lot more, but
There was.
luckily they're doing much better on that. The addition, like the bitness, unless you absolutely know for certain that you need 64-bit Office, always choose 32-bit Office.
And you will know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you will know.
You will absolutely know.
Yep. 2 gigabyte files, Excel files, 2 gigabytes or more. Word documents, 2 gigabytes or more, probably 64-bit Office. Other than that, you should never need 64-bit Office. It doesn't run better. In fact, you're more prone to get some errors.
Yes.
Plus, there's more add-ons for 32-bit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
way more add-ons.
Yeah, some won't even work with 64, but they won't
Yeah.
put out that at all.
And they'll just error, and it'll be sad. All right, and then this is where we change, or this is where the difference comes from, where we went to branch to the channel. So they've changed.
This is for updates.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now, there's a discrepancy between the documentation that was updated just a couple of weeks ago and the XML editor, which is also up to date, because according to the documentation, there are only 3 channels, but according to the XML editor, there are 4. And so the one that is sort of in question here is this one where it says insiders. So this one is not in the documentation. I have no idea if it works. I haven't tested this out. I will, but I haven't yet. But it is very strange that there's that one. Most of the time, you don't really need to worry about that because the monthly channel takes care of that. So this one here, this is always going to be your latest and greatest. That's
So how do these updates work? Because we've got monthly,
Uh-huh.
we've got insiders, and then we chose broad in ours.
Yep. Well, for the download.
For the
And
download.
we'll choose it on this one too.
Okay.
So broad is going to be that is the standard. It's been tested. It's been released. Early adopters have taken it, or the insiders have taken it, and even the targeted. Okay, let me explain it this way. Monthly, bleeding edge. Everyone
Yes.
who's on monthly is going to get those updates just as soon as they're released from the Office Dev team.
It's your alpha.
Yep, it is.
If you would.
And then you've got the targeted. And targeted is for your power users. And that's going to be, and that's a semi-annual channel as well, but it's earlier than the broad. And so it's like basically like...
it's a beta.
It's a beta, yep. And then you've got your third one, which is broad. And that is your standard release out to
This
everybody.
has been out. It's
Yep.
been tested.
Yep.
You're likely going to be safe pushing this out.
It's your RTM, basically.
Okay.
Yep. So you can just choose that here. And again, insiders, I would be cautious using just the insiders. If you want the inside stuff, just do monthly.
Maybe for your machine, if you want to test something
Yeah.
first.
Yep.
You know, have 2 config.xmls.
And I think now is a good time to bring up the language ID too.
Yes.
Yes.
Language ID. We've seen a couple tickets in solutions where I've actually seen German spelled out German in the language ID.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
No.
You actually need to use the language code.
You can't just type in pig Latin and expect it to work.
Unfortunately, no. No,
Yeah.
you can't.
And it always is going to be a language dash country basically.
Yes.
So it's going to be 2 values dash 2 values.
So we could have ENUS and ENGB.
Nope.
No.
There's no NGB.
No?
Nope. And this is in the actual bonus content too.
Perfect.
So German is going to be DE-DE, I think. But yeah, it's in the bonus content. But it's always going to be the 2 language dash country.
Find the one that works for you.
Yeah. Yep.
It's documented.
Yep. And you can add multiple languages too, if you want. And then there's also installing language packs and everything like that, but that's a little bit beyond what we're going to be doing here. Anyway, wanted to make you aware that this is available to do that. Let's see.
So while we're looking at this, do you want to take a question?
Oh, yeah, we do. Question, yeah.
Dear Brig and Josh, will Office 2019 be a special case? I read somewhere that it will be click to run only, not MSI. How will that differ from the Office 365 install? Sincerely, William Z.
I'm not sure, but since this is a click-to-run product, I'm assuming that there's probably going to be a similar install.
I would agree.
Yep.
If Office 365 is a click to run, and I think you're talking about the OCT for an MSI. That's how I'm translating that in my head. So this will likely be the same scenario to deploy Office 2019.
Yep. Yeah, it does actually makes the most sense to use something like the deployment tool for 2019, because then that way you can control it using an XML and you can deploy it this way, which is pretty basic.
And it just follows Microsoft the way they're going. With Windows as a service, Office as a service, this just falls right in line with what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm kind of curious, though, about how they're going to do central administration. Probably GPO on that one.
That'd be my guess. You'd have a whole slew of new ADMX files.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are fun. Oh, anyway. That's another show. Okay, so you can see here that we've back to our command prompt, so we've already downloaded that. And you'll see here that we now have an Office folder or directory.
So we want to call out, do not modify
Yes.
the name of this. Don't change anything inside of it.
Nothing.
Full of heartache. That's what's going to happen if you do that.
Yes. So we don't use like setup path or any of those old attributes. Just leave this directory structure as it is. Don't move anything anywhere. You're good. You're fine. Everything will run perfectly if you just leave it alone. But now that this is our Office source, so we'll actually be pulling from this. And again, as Josh said earlier, if you put this on a DFS share, you can use the pull copy method, which is if you're doing deployments of more than like 10, 15 computers, you probably are going to want to do that because otherwise it's going to be pulling.
Yeah, you're going to saturate that NIC on your console fairly quickly.
Yep. All right, let's see. So now, with that done, let's go ahead and...
So at this point, we've downloaded source.
Yep.
We've got our config file. We're ready to build a package.
Yep. Well, we're going to do...
Well, we need to modify ours. Yep. We've got it open, so let's finish modifying.
Okay, so we're going to go with broad. It's the safest. It's going to generate the least end-user tickets because they won't be getting weird errors. Updates, enable true, channel. Let's change that too.
Yep.
Broad.
And display level, none. We want this silent.
Yep.
We don't want pop-ups.
Yeah, it has to be completely silent, except ULO, of course, true. Again, we don't want to pop up. Property name, auto-activate, and the value is going to be 0 on that. Now, if you are going to push out to one machine with multiple users, there is another attribute that you can use to do that. And I just want to call that out here. And what you're going to want to do is use this attribute here, shared computer licensing, and make that a value of 1. So like if Josh and I are using the same machine, like, we come into work and then he's works the shift after me and we're doing the same thing, and we're sharing that, we could use that with this.
This is to avoid you come in, you log in, you sign in with your Office account.
Yep.
It's now yours.
Yep.
You leave, I come in, I have to now sign in.
Yeah.
And it's that way every day forever. So this is how you get around that.
Yeah, this is a way of just saying like, okay, we understand it's a shared and we're good. So.
Okay.
All right.
This is also useful if you have like a remote desktop environment.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thin clients.
Thin clients, yeah.
VDI, something like that.
I wonder where that works on terminal server. I'm curious. No. Okay. Anyway, just
That's
question in my
Microsoft
head.
licensing. That's a webcast
That's a different
or
thing.
3
Oh, yeah.
in and of
That's
itself.
All right, so we've got our Office Client Edition, we've got our product ID, we've got our language, we've set everything to none, we're good. We're going to go ahead and save this then.
Okay.
All right, so we've saved that, and then now what we're going to do is just create the package. Oh, I did not want to do that. All right, so open up PDQ Deploy.
New package.
New package.
All right.
All right.
And so what is this going to be an install step? What kind of step is this?
This is a command step.
All right.
All right.
Let's get that centered down there.
Oh, sorry. Just paying attention to all the things. Okay, now on this one we want to use the UNC path.
Yes.
Because we're actually going to be calling, obviously if we called it from C, then it was going to be using the
Yeah,
C
so if
drive.
you used
on
your
the
local
computer.
path that you just
Yeah.
created, C users, you can install it yourself, but you're not going to install anybody else.
Yep. And just if you want to just check and make sure, just and there's 2 N's.
That is 2 N's. Yes.
I know. Again,
I
it's
can never spell Guinness. I can't do it. So
Look. Magic.
there's all of our files.
All right. So that is the correct path. And then I'm just going to use the setup.
got an eye in there.
I know. I'm going to blame the keyboard. It's always a bad musician who blames this instrument.
Absolutely. You and Lex. It's a
And
competition.
then, rather than install, it's called configure because you're actually configuring it, even though it's not. That's all right.
So we're
and then-
configuring our installation with
Yep.
our answer file XML.
Yeah. So I just want to call this out. What we're doing here is we're calling this setup.exe. This is going to do all the work, but we're going to pass it the parameter of using this 365 install.xml. So do the same thing. Oops. Again. I am sorry, everyone, about my typing. I just want to apologize in advance. I should just one finger it. That's faster.
Just chicken peck on
Just
the keyboard.
accept it like Lex has.
Okay. All right. And that's an SML. There's no such thing. Well, there probably is. Okay, so just double checking now. There's if I set up.exe. Yes. Does that work?
That,
Good?
that looks like it works.
All right. Okay, another thing that we want to put on here are some success codes. We already have 0, which obviously is success. And then we also want to put in 1641. 1641 just means that a reboot is occurring. So if we return that back, that means that the machine's going to reboot. I haven't seen Office 365 reboot a machine
I've
in
never seen it.
3 years. Yeah, so it's rare. And then the other one that we want to put in, and this is just good practice, is 3010, which means that it needs a reboot. So now this you might get this especially if you do a multi-step where you do an uninstall of a previous version of
Yes,
Office,
absolutely.
and then you install Office 365. You may get this. So just be aware that I would just put those in just for
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
So that's probably a common use case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I may have the Office 2013, and we're going to decide as a company to go
Yeah.
to Office 365. So this package, we could add an additional step, make it a nested package.
Mm-hmm.
Grab the Uninstall Office package from the library, uninstall first, then let's
Yep.
push out Office 365.
Yep. Push this out, and then that way the 3010 would be completely valid on this one, and
Absolutely.
possibly even the 1641. But I don't think that would happen. All right. One of the other things that we want to do is we do not want to push this out to our Exchange server.
But how's USS Outlook?
So bad. All right. Oh, Windows 8, Vista. These are good. This is fine.
Yeah.
This is good.
That'll work.
So we're going to do 10, 8.1, and Windows 7. All right. And then our options, we're going to put this in on 32 and 64-bit, which is great. Logged state is always going to be run on that one. And then on this one, this is kind of important.
It is.
Sort of another kind of Brig rant, and Josh rant too, because we're both aware of this. You want to change the run as from deploy user to deploy user interactive.
But Brig, I don't want my end users to see
They
what's
won't.
going on.
They won't. They
Okay.
won't. Office will be silent, but Office is, while it says it's silent, it's not really silent. Like it tries to be silent, but it lies. It lies to our program, and it says like I'm not really silent.
It has varying levels of silence. It's like a microphone. Somebody turns it up and down.
Yes, it's like it's not a whisper, but there's something you can tell that someone is saying something. Like it reads lips or something. Anyway,
This is actually a common problem with Autodesk products, and that
Yes,
is
it is.
that it runs silent in that, especially with, if you remember the XML file, you had that display level of none,
Yep.
but it requires a desktop, and that only happens if somebody's logged on, even though they won't see anything. That's where the deploy user interactive will give that access to these programs like Autodesk and Office 365.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a way for us to say, okay,
Maybe account for that balloon notification or something like that it wants to.
or not even the blue notification, but like the hint, like I may do it.
Yeah,
I might
maybe.
do it. Yeah. So anyway, you want to use the deploy user interactive on this one.
So
just
our
to be
package is
safe.
done now.
Yep. Save and just double check again. I got all my little quotes there. Check the quotes. It happens to me all the time. Really bad. Oh, and especially another thing about quotes, if you're copying from like Word or Google Docs or something like that, they're different quotes. So you want to make sure and use the little straight quotes, not the curly quotes. Very different.
Oh, that's a gotcha all the time.
Uh-huh.
For all kinds of
See it
packages,
all the
copying
time.
from
Yeah.
like a website, put it in
Yep.
Notepad, make
Smart
sure it's what you
quotes.
want.
Yep, exactly. Yep. What'd you call them, Jake?
Microsoft calls them smart quotes.
Which ones? The curly quotes?
Yeah.
Okay. But they're the exact. Okay. All right.
Greek
Okay, we
question
saved
mark.
it. So now, should we deploy this?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, let's do something that's a little easier. We created a webcast. Somebody did this, so we're just going to go ahead and just drag that onto there, drag and drop, and deploy now. We're
Yep.
good. Yep.
We're good.
Scanning.
So
we're good.
while this is deploying, maybe we should take a question.
Ah,
Dear Brig and Josh, what is required to change Office 365 channels, say from semi-annual to monthly? Thanks, Serge.
Serge, you can actually do this in your admin console. In your administrator, you should be able to change that. Another option would be if you don't want to wait for that to change, because that may take, if I remember correctly, that may take until the next time that an update occurs, or it's pushed out. But if you want it faster, you would do the exact same process what we're doing right now, because you can run this, you can download the source and then just copy over the
Push it out over
existing
the
source.
There's actually I think there's 5 registry keys.
Oh, there is, yes.
There's 5 registry values, pardon me, that you can delete. I think that if you delete them, it'll go to monthly, but we can. It's not in the bonus content.
No.
Another perk to asking questions much far in advance. But anyway, there's some registry keys. You can actually just create a separate package in PDQ Deploy with these registry commands, delete or add whatever's needed, and then just blast it out to your computers, and then they'll change channels.
Yeah, and actually, thanks, Shane, because also in the research too, there's also an XML file that you can use. You just push out. It doesn't reinstall Office, but it does change the update channel on that. Thank you, because we were doing some research into like doing Office updates.
We were.
So, all right.
Yep.
Okay. Whew. Thanks, Shane. All right. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, we're still running.
Yep.
Dear Brig and Josh, how can we remove things like Skype for Business or even other things if our environment doesn't use them? Thanks, Kurt M.
All right. It's basically the same process. Assuming that it's Office 365, Skype is its own monster, and we actually have KBs out there. In fact, if somebody on like Colby or somebody on the chat can actually post that, the KB to remove Skype or add Skype, that would be very beneficial.
Because that's a common component that people want added or removed.
Yep. Typically, what I would do is just go ahead and remove the component in the XML file, and there's in the bonus content are all the XML configuration options, and it's not that bad. Like it's not this giant document, but it talks about like how you would like exclude something from that, and then you could just push that out again. Removing is actually very easy in Office 365. It's all controlled by XML, so that would be easy. But the Skype specifically, yeah, we've got a KB for that. And Katie, thanks.
Yep.
All right.
So looks like we've got
Hi, Chris.
couple successful deployments already. So this is actually a really quick install.
Yep. Yeah, so we're actually doing pretty good right there. And we can see that we've got 2 more, so that should be pretty fast.
Yep,
on
so
this
we're
one.
running.
Yeah, oh yeah, 2 minutes. So yeah, you can do another question.
Lord Brig and Josh, I have some users that already have Microsoft accounts using their work email. Will I encounter any problems once we go to Office 365? Will I have to create new ones? Thank you, Chris C.
So we actually looked into this because we saw this right before the show.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And what we kind of found was there's 2 options around this. One is to merge the Microsoft account with their Office 365 account, or 2 is to create an alias with one or the other.
Yep. So yeah, it looks like you have at least 2 options, but those are the 2 options that we were able to find that were pretty viable. So you shouldn't encounter any problems, but you want to set that up in the admin center first. And you should be able to, if it's the work email and they already have Microsoft accounts, you should just be able to merge those with either, like Josh said, an alias or the domain. Do that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now we've got successful deployments.
Okay. Should we really test? Should we see like if inventory is because we did a scan after.
Yep.
So this is our need Office 365. So we had created this just in case, because one of the nice things about this too is that you can always do an install. They can do a deploy once, or you can tie this to a schedule. Choose your targets, PDQ inventory.
You know, the ones that need Office are Office 365 not installed.
Yep. So need Office 365, and then I could just choose all of those.
Same thing as our target list. We just took a shortcut.
Yep. So, all right. One thing that we want to do, check now if we do actually have Office, and we actually have this collection. So, right here, Office 365. We just refresh that.
So looks like they're coming in now because the scan after deployment took place.
Yep. And so you can see that they're all in inventory, and they all have Office 365. So we have proven once again that Office 365 relatively simple to deploy. All right. Now
we did it live.
Yeah,
and it worked.
If we did, the whole thing. Let's see. A couple more things that we want to cover. We want to cover uninstalling Office products. Dakota was very nice to inform us that there is this Office Scrub. Office Scrubby is the bonus content.
And this is on GitHub with the Office Dev team. They wrote these.
Yeah, they wrote these. So if you have, so when we were talking about like removing like a previous version of Office, like Office 2013 or 2016 or something like that, even if that installation is broken, so like it doesn't start, it's horrible. You can use these Office Scrub scripts to run that on a machine, and it will scrub.
Yeah.
We have our own uninstallers, and
do.
our uninstallers are gentle. They're like, we're going to
Will you
uninstall you.
please uninstall? I
Yeah.
don't want to make a mess.
Yep. Yeah, and we're nice about it, and we ask nicely. These are not nice. This is Clorox, like basically just pour it all over the inside of the OS. And
Remove it.
yes, remove it.
All of it, everywhere.
Yep, everywhere. So those are available to you. You can create packages out of these because we run VBS scripts directly, and you can run that. The instructions pretty basic. I mean, nothing particularly difficult about any of this. Yep.
So one thing I want to call about VBS. There are some VBS that, even with silent parameters, still want to give you a pop-up dialog. Common case is like slmgr.vbs. You give it all the silent parameters, it'll still pop and say, oh, Windows is activated. There's a quick way to get around that, and that's use it as a command step. cscript //B, I think. If I remember right off the top of my head, I think Shane might have can confirm that one.
I think it is.
That sounds right.
Yep.
So that will just suppress the I did the thing message that comes up and report as successful instead of just running indefinitely.
And let's see. So there's that one, and then the uninstall package and the package library. So if you do have Office 365 installed, and you do need to remove it, we do have in the package library.
We do. We have a bunch of uninstallers for Office, actually.
We have a bunch of uninstalled. Period. Yeah.
Yep. So there's some that are per version, and then we've got one that's actually just uninstall Microsoft Office.
Yep.
That one's kind of the bull in the china shop. It's going to get in there and it's going to remove any and all Office, anything that it finds.
Still a little bit more gentle.
More gentle than the VBS script.
But still very much like, oh, which versions do you have? And I'm going to all of you.
So that's useful if you've got maybe like Visio 2010.
Yep.
And then the rest of the Office suite of 2016, 2013. That one will get them both.
Yeah, and there is and we do see quite a few errors coming in where Visio's installed and it's 64-bit, and you're trying to install Office 32-bit. That will not work. It will not work at all.
The bitness must match.
Must match. Yep.
Another thing to call out with our uninstall scripts, they do require PowerShell version 3 at least. We do have a package in the library to push out WMF5.
Yeah, so if you've got Windows 7 machines out there, you can just create that. You can just deploy that package out to update them to PowerShell 3 or higher.
So, you want to take a question?
Yeah, do we have questions?
Dear Brig and Josh, how can we push out monthly security updates if we are on the semi-annual channel or monthly channel? Is it a full redeployment, or can we just push the updates? Sincerely, Randy, I'm flying a plane, W.
You started looking into this, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Deploying Office 365 updates manually.
Yeah. It's Randy. Just use the monthly. Yeah.
Just let it handle itself. You're going to save yourself some headache.
Yeah. Basically, what the process the process is not dissimilar to what we just went through. And yeah, I would just recommend just using the monthly. So rather than, I mean, you could use the targeted, but again, that's only semi-annually. Broad, safest, but for the security updates or for the latest bleeding edge, monthly would be fine. And to be honest, have you ever, I've set myself up monthly. Have you ever experienced any sort of errors on the updates? I haven't.
No. Well, I mean, really the only thing that I've ever seen break is those really weird Office plugins that are made by some small mom and pop shop. Yeah. They might break, but that's really about it.
Yeah, I've never experienced it. So the safe bet is just to change that to monthly. And like Shane said, if you've already got it where it's set to something that's longer than what you'd like, those registry keys. And again, I should have put that in the bonus content, but yeah.
We can include it in our KB when we do the rewrite.
Yeah, we'll put it in there. Yep.
Do we have any other questions?
Dearest Brig and Josh, is auto activation via the built-in OSPP.vbs script still supported in Office 365? We currently use this method for Office 2013. Thanks, Tyler P.
Activation is handled entirely differently. You know more about the OSPP than I do. But
It's-
activation with Office 365 is completely online.
It is.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You have to
that
have-
account ties into an account in your admin center. Those two are tied together.
You tie a user
Yeah.
to a license. That user has 5 installs.
Yeah.
That's the way that's going to work. They've got to sign in.
Yeah, that kind of goes to what I'd mentioned earlier. I last noticed the auto activation working in 13. I have not used this VBS script, so I can't speak to it. But I just know that seemed to get broken in 16 and the Office 365 version of 16.
Yeah.
I think what Josh was saying is correct, that it's tied to a user, but
Yeah. It is definitely tied to a user.
confidence isn't high on that one.
Wait, Shane's confidence isn't high on that one?
Wow.
My confidence is high on that one.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, all right. But anyway, yeah, I would say that it's tied to the user. So they're like they'll get a pop-up and they'll just put in their user information and they're activated. Yep.
Sure. Let's take another
Yeah.
question.
Dear Brig and Josh, we deploy Office 365 with PDQ Deploy for a while now, and I never got it to install faster than 20 to 30 minutes. Do you know if the installer may fall back to download the files if there is a problem with my share where I put the source files? Thanks, Frederick. Feeling a little blurry here. H.
All right, Frederick. It will not download. So there's no fallback that the installer will download the files. It actually installs from that source. There should be very little traffic out, other than just normal traffic, especially when the user first logs in. One of the things that you can try to do, because I don't know if you're using the pull or push copy method, but if you're using push, you may want to use pull, like set up a DFS share or put it on a file server or a couple of file servers and use that, and then DFS would of course be better, and then use the pull copy.
Yeah.
method.
Will you quickly show the how you can change the push-pull at the package level?
Oh, at the package level.
Yeah, I mean, you can do this. You can do this in preferences, but let's show the package level.
Yeah.
Maybe they have push set up globally, but for the office, they've got it on a share. They want that to be pull.
All right.
Right there. There's your copy mode.
Yep.
It's under options. You've got a couple options.
You do pull.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pull. That instructs the target machine to, hey, pull this down, instead of the runner service actually taking that and pushing it to the machine.
Yep. Oh, that's a huge square. I didn't need a square that big.
But it sounds like in your specific case, you might be hitting some bandwidth issues, or maybe even disk I/O.
Yeah, it could be.
If you're deploying to 100 machines at once,
Yeah.
with a 2 gig installer, that's a lot of
That's a lot.
That's a lot to push
that's a lot
around.
to push around. Yeah, so it could be the targets, it could be the source, and it could be which copy mode you're using. Just those would be like my immediate, like the 3 things that I would want to check, because I know that I've installed it before and it's taken anywhere from 15 to 16 minutes, and that was I/O from the source, not on the target. And then you saw today we were able to install that pretty much in like 3 minutes. So, and that was I/O on the source as well as on the targets.
Yeah.
So those were both improved. But those are the 3 things I check.
Sure, let's take another question if we got them.
Still got quite a few questions, so now we're going into the speed round, okay?
All right.
Dear Josh and Brig, for the broad channel, are security updates applied immediately? Sincerely, Rodney G.
Broad channel, no. They're released twice a year. So it is a semi-annual channel.
The roll-ups.
Yep. Yeah, essentially roll-ups. Microsoft will push out security updates. I've seen this. Even I'm on the semi-annual or the broad branch. They do push out updates quite frequently that I think are only security and not necessarily usability. So yeah, I believe I have not seen any particular documentation though where Microsoft has confirmed that this is indeed the case.
Yep.
So I can't speak to that directly,
No.
but
And their documentation, there's conflicting
Yep.
information out there
Yeah.
sometimes.
Next question. Currently deploying Office 365, and one issue I have had is getting the icons to pin across the taskbar. They show up in the Start menu but never appear on the taskbar as configured in the XML file from the config.office.com setup site. What am I missing? Thanks, Jorlando D.
all right.
That is Chris, our PowerShell expert, ran into configuring the taskbar. He said it is an entirely different monster that got broken or significantly changed when Windows 8.1 came out,
Yep.
and it's followed into Windows 10. So he according to Microsoft, it doesn't happen. Keep in mind, you'll still see stuff like auto activate in XML files that no longer work, and for some reason they just never were removed. And for some reason, that taskbar stuff just doesn't seem to work. It's not the way that Microsoft has intended 8.1 and 10 to be able to have those things placed there automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it's actually Chris either reached out or knew somebody that reached out to Microsoft. And Microsoft, well, the taskbar is really, that's user land. That's something for the user. That's nothing for you to administer. And it was like, what? You're taking away control. So, yeah that's unfortunate.
Next question. Can you use shared licensing on all users' computers? Thanks, Aaron S.
Can't see why not.
Sure.
Yeah. You should be able to use that. So, if you've got mixed bag, you should be able to do that.
Just make sure you're falling in line with Microsoft's licensing for your account, and you should be good.
Yep, and just use that parameter that's in the bonus content. Yeah, should work.
Dear Brig and Josh, I currently have Office 365 2016 32-bit deployed to all my workstations. I want to remove it and install a 64-bit deployment. What's the best method to accomplish this? Thanks, Jeff W.
Okay, I'm going to assume that your 64-bit deployment, that you actually have a legitimate reason to use 64-bit rather than 32-bit. But if you're going to do that, easiest way, we have an Uninstall Office 365 package, and then what we did today, same thing, just go ahead and put them in a nested package, or you can even do it as as steps, as 2 different steps, and then just
the answer is it's definitely, according to Microsoft, a rip and replace. You cannot intermingle the bitness. You can't have some 32-bit components in 64. If you want to change them, it's a rip and replace.
Yes.
So use the Uninstall Office 365 package that we have, and then just go ahead and the install step. You do that in the same.
2 more questions in the speed round. Is there a way to check applications installed in the settings for Windows 10? Dell HP laptops have Microsoft Office desktop apps that installs for each new profile. This conflicts with the actual Microsoft Office application unless uninstalled. Thanks, Patrick P.
I don't know anything about the Microsoft desktop apps.
Neither do I. I mean, even because when I get an OEM machine, the first thing to usually go is that image.
Yeah.
So that goes with it.
Yeah.
I would say use PDQ inventory if you've got that.
Yep.
Look for some telltale. You can use a file scanner, maybe a registry scanner. You might even have to resort to WMI.
Yep.
But look for those files, and then Google, find out how to uninstall that. You might have to run the packages as logged on user or deploy user interactive or something, but you'd probably want to use an inventory program to find those machines and then figure out how to uninstall them via some script.
Yeah, and then just to piggyback on like what Shane was saying, you could actually copy one of our Office Office collections that we have in the collection library, and use that as kind of a base. Copy that, change the name, and then use that to sort of like figure out what those apps are. Yep.
And our final question of the speed round from the lovely and talented Wendy F. What is the best way to completely remove older versions of Office without removing other products such as Project and Visio?
If I remember right, some of our uninstall scripts that we've got in the package library actually look for things by GUID and name. So you may be able to just comment out the stuff that's going to remove Project and Visio, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't have those in front of me. I haven't looked at them in a while.
Yeah, because Project and Visio are like separate programs, but part of the Office suite, and then Office, of course, treats them.
Yeah.
It depends. It treats them differently in different ways. Yeah.
Sure.
I just
you might be able to use like the OCT for like an install.
Yeah.
But treat it as an uninstall to remove the other stuff, but leaving bits behind that you want.
Yeah. That's probably what I would do. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Lots of good questions.
Appreciate it.
Lots of really good
Thanks.
questions. All right.
Yeah, they were good.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Chris C. and Tyler P., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. And don't forget, PDQ is hiring for several positions. You can check those out on our website at pdq.com/jobs. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.